Governor Greg Abbott talking about a lot of issues impacting the Austin area. And so here to talk with us about police funding and homelessness is Austin Mayor Steve Adler. Mayor, thanks for being here.
Terry, good to be with you.
First of all, what do you make of the governor saying if Austin does not reinstate the camping ban, he will?
Well, certainly we can't control what happens at the state level, but the answer to homelessness is not to hide it. It's not to send people back to the streams and to the woods. It's a dangerous place for them to be. Conditions in those places just absolutely horrible. Folks are safer now. They're able to get services, but what we're doing right now isn't right either. There's got to be a better way, and we need to find it. Going back to where we were before. Banning camping is not the right answer, but we have to do a better job of coming up with the long-term plan so everybody in the community knows how long it's going to take and can measure progress over time. And we have to do a better job in the short term of managing shared public spaces.
I know that one of the solutions previously was these hotels that the city spent millions to house the homeless. Are they still just being used to house people who may be at risk for getting COVID-19? And what is the plan moving forward to maybe change that?
Well, we need to tackle the virus, and certainly COVID has stalled that effort in being able to devote motels to folks that are experiencing homelessness because we've had to use them for isolation facilities and protective lodges. With that said, we've still been able to bring some of the people in our community experiencing homelessness and get them into permanent supportive housing, but we need to significantly accelerate that program. Buying the old motels is one of the most efficient ways for us to have that kind of space. There are two more that are going to be put on the agenda, that are on the agenda for the council for the end of the month. And I'm encouraged to see that we're picking this back up again. We don't want people camping in tents anywhere in our city, which means we have to get them housed.
So is that the solution then, finding more hotels to possibly put them in?
I think that's part of the solution. I think that's a really good answer for the permanent supportive housing. But we also have to come up with the emergency housing and the rapid housing so that we can get people off the streets more quickly as we're getting to the permanent supportive housing, that we can then move them out of that emergency and rapid rehousing into more permanent supportive housing. So it's different kinds of housing at different kinds of stages. We need to implement the plan. We know that it works. We were successful in doing that with veterans, and now we need to follow through and scale it to the entire community of people experiencing homelessness.
Isn't this really an affordability issue? I mean, Austin affordability has been a challenge, I think. You see people moving out to the suburbs with their families. We're struggling at AISD to keep kids there in the school districts. So how do we address that?
Affordability is a huge issue, and the more expensive it becomes to live in the city, the more people we're going to see that fall into homelessness. There are a lot of things we need to be doing to address affordability. You either make housing cost less or you help people have more to spend. We need to increase the supply of housing in our city, all kinds of housing in our city. Right now, there's not enough to go around. Houses are not on the market for very long because the demand is so great. But we also have to increase the number of middle-skilled jobs that we have in our city so that more people can afford the homes that are here. And this is a council that in the community, through bond elections, taking steps to dramatically increase the supply of housing, working with Workforce Solutions, working with new businesses like Tesla that are bringing in middle-skilled jobs that don't necessarily require a 4-year degree. Affordability, huge issue. And a tough one to crack.
And speaking of that, the governor also talked about fiscally punishing cities like Austin that take money away from police departments. What is your response to that?
You know, I'm not sure exactly how that works. Austin is a safe city. We're the safest big city in Texas and one of the safest cities in the country. And it's important that we do everything we can to be able to maintain that position. And that's the conversation we're having. The Texas Tribune recently did an article pointing out that Austin pays more per capita for its police than any other major city in the state does. And we do that because we recognize the importance of police and we're willing to pay to have the best police officers in the country. But public safety involves more than just police. And we have to figure out in our community what works to make us even safer than we are now. That has to be our constant push to keep an already safe city even safer.
You do acknowledge, though, that the crime rate has been trending up, even for our city, just based year to year here, even though it is one of the safest cities in the country. And we're also seeing more officers retire. Are you worried about that?
It is true that the crime rates are going up in Austin, and any increase in crime rates is a concern. That's happening in cities across the country during this pandemic. And when you have a city like Austin where the crime rates are so low, even a small increase is going to be a big percentage, even if it's not big in absolute numbers. And that's what we see in Austin. I am concerned about the number of police officers that are leaving the force. We have, 1,400 police officers in the city. I think actually maybe 1,800, and there is a certain amount of attrition, which is normal, but we are seeing high numbers. That's one of the reasons why I support having a cadet class just as soon as we can fairly and properly get one impaneled, in part because of those numbers, in part because I think that the cadet classes give us the opportunity to have cultural change agents put on our force. But in order to do that, we have to make sure that we have a curriculum and a program that reflects the values and the culture in our community.
Mayor Adler, we appreciate you joining us today. Thanks so much.
Thank you.